So you've had a little time to think about the three scenarios that are all painted for us and come to your own decisions about what might the solution be. What I'm going to do now is talk to Arul specifically about each of the three options available and understand a little bit more what FirstSource went through in terms of their thought processes, and particularly around the advantages, disadvantages of each of those options. And then we'll find out specifically which option they went with. So, Arul, as I understand it, the first option available to you was some sort of partnership with a third party.
Yeah, joint venture or partnership.
Joint venture. So what did that look like, and where did you get to in terms of your evaluation of the advantages and disadvantages of that model?
We used quite a detailed scoring criteria to evaluate all the three options. But again, if I look at key criteria, one of the big advantages of a joint venture or a partnership was that we could work with somebody who's done it before and done it well, as long as you can find a good partner who has proven capabilities and demonstrated capabilities, which is really important in this business. So that was the biggest advantage of going in through that route. The disadvantage or the con of choosing that option was that we wouldn't have had the sort of control over that operation to be really able to bring in this change, to be that catalyst.
So from what I'm hearing, there was some interesting dynamics in that decision, in that in some respects it might have been quite compelling to go with a third-party provider in conjunction with yourselves, who at least had some capability.
That's right.
But from what I'm hearing, you actually were looking perhaps for a bigger leap of faith to take more ownership about the total solution.
Exactly. I think you hit the point well, Rick. It's if you want to be a catalyst of change, that option didn't seem to give us enough latitude to be that catalyst.
So the second one you talked about was this idea of perhaps using an existing infrastructure that a third party could provide you with, and for you to actually recruit and employ the people to undertake the tasks. That seems a little bit closer to what you were seeking to achieve. How did your thinking process go in that, and what were some of the advantages and disadvantages of that model?
Sure. Again, you've read that well, because once they would provide us the infrastructure, but we could pretty much manage the operation the way we wanted to, with the people that we wanted to employ. So the advantage was that that there was some degree of control, albeit it perhaps wasn't as much as we would like. Which is quite an interesting thing for an outsourcer to say, because we do, as an outsourcer, you're telling others about how outsourcing helps you run something better. And over here, I'm talking about the fact that, that I do want to maintain a degree of control on this. But there was that interesting challenge over there. I think one of the big advantages of this option for us was that it gave us a lot of flexibility to be able to get something running without having to invest millions of dollars, pounds in this case, in setting up that infrastructure was very attractive to us. And it sort of gave us a get out of jail free card in a sense. If things didn't work out, we didn't have this big building with a long-term lease that we were tied into. If things didn't work out and we're not able to be the catalyst that we wanted to be, we could get out. So there was an attractive option, but perhaps it did not give us the degree of control that we would have liked to again be able to catalyze change.
Yeah, I can understand that. That's fair. So you went the next step and thought, well, perhaps we should be taking ultimate control, having the infrastructure, having the people, everything to provide the service. So again, tell us about that solution and again, some of the advantages and disadvantages of that approach.
Sure. The third option was greenfield. Till that point in time, we really had never set up a greenfield operation as a business before. We had acquired a number of companies, but they came with their management teams, with their infrastructure. So it was a running business that we could acquire and run perhaps better, but we were not setting something up from scratch. So this was a big leap of faith to be able to say, I will go and set up an operation for my company in this country, without having perhaps the people who had experience of setting up and running these operations. And again, with that came the fact that we had to invest a lot of capital up front in setting this up, sign up to long-term leases, all the responsibilities that come up with setting an operation of this scale, because we're talking about hundreds of people here.
That to me sounds like a major strategic leap, committing capital, committing much more resource, management time, etc. That sounds like a much more complicated solution. It was
quite a complicated solution, a big decision for us as a business. And I think it was, perhaps now that we look back, there's one of the the most important decision points in our European business.
So we posed the question earlier, which of the three were our students going to think about going down in terms of the preferred route? Tell us now then which way FirstSource went in the end, why you selected that option, and then I'd like perhaps you to share a little bit more about what that's meant to your business and how you've been perceived in the marketplace as a result of it.
Sure. Which one do you think we went for?
Well, my guess is from what you said and from what you said earlier about the background of the business that perhaps you went with the third option and went with the bold solution to take full control and actually make a strategic leap in terms of where you were taking your business.
Rick is right. We did go in for option 3. It meant more capital investment. It meant margin compression because you can't make the same sort of margins onshore as you can offshore. But we still went in for that option. And the reason we went for that option, Rick, was the 3 key reasons. One is it gave us the opportunity to be that catalyst that we wanted to be, to really bring all this experience that we had built up over the years to be able to deliver a great service to our clients onshore and to show them that, that we're not just a one-trick pony, that we can do it wherever they want us to do it from. So that was reason one. The second reason was it suddenly allowed us an opportunity to really build a much stronger, broader and deeper relationship with the client. Now we don't need to go back to the client with a single solution, which is the answer is India. We could go in and understand their problems and provide them the solution that they need. And thirdly, I think what it gave us was an opportunity to really scale up our business here. If we could make it work for this client, there's a big if and there's a big challenge, but if we were up for it, there was a much larger opportunity here that we could go for. So that's what we really went in for, option 3. You're right.
Well, we'll see who got it right in the study itself, but that sounds like a really bold move to me. That's a major strategic shift. What's the impact been in the marketplace in terms of how you've been perceived, not only with your clients, but also with the market watchers, in terms of how they've seen FirstSource develop and grow?
To be honest, I think the first few months were a challenge. We did not have somebody in the business, for example, who had experience of setting up an operation onshore and understood the nuances and the challenges here. So what we did was we recognized that and we brought in people who did have that experience. So there's some senior executives that we brought in from outside who would set this operation up and help us run it well. And that made a big difference. So in a matter of a few months, we were really able to make it work and start providing, start being that catalyst of change that we wanted to be. Starting from, if I look back, we started off in June 2006. The intention at that stage was to create around 400 jobs, which is what we committed to when we came on shore. We've been able to scale that operation up over the last 3 to 4 years to a business today which employs more than 2,000 people in the UK.
That's an amazing story. I mean, that must make you one of the largest employers in the BPO space of people in the UK.
You're right, Rick, and it's not just one of the largest. We actually won the UKTI Investor of the Year award last year for being the largest creator of jobs in the BPO industry in the last 3 years.
What a fantastic success story.
It's been a great success story.
And do you feel then that it was the right decision? Inevitably it was, but has the organisation recognised it's the right decision? Has it grown? Has it fulfilled its potential on the back of that decision?
No, I think the organization has really, we did have some questions when we took that decision because it's such a big decision. But once we took it and really put our hearts and souls into making it work, I think the organization's moved on tremendously on the back of that decision. These 2,000 jobs were created because we were able to land 3 other clients within the space of slightly more than a year. So it's worked very well. The head of our UK business, who I worked with to take this decision, has just recently been rewarded for taking this decision and helping the company to move to the next level by being made the CEO of the company. So in a way, this was not the only reason, but taking this bold decision, I think, was a sign of things to come. And he's been tasked with taking our entire company to the next stage.
So that's a great story. And I think you can see that this is a great example of an organisation that had a very compelling business in the Indian offshore market, taking work out of an English-speaking environment and moving it into a lower-cost environment. And then they were challenged by having to take what had worked in a domestic market into the international market, into pastures new. And it was a bold decision, but I think we can see that it's paid off. They have a happy customer. It's been recognised in the industry and it's been recognised in the business community. So I'd like to thank you, Arul, for spending time with us and sharing the history of the last few years on what First Source have been doing. I think it's an incredible story. It's an incredible journey. And we wish you well with your future development.
Thank you, Rick. It's been a pleasure being here.